Well, folks, we're back again with the Haslabs Giant Man situation where it has somehow got slightly worse. Not sure how to really put it. Before I move on with the conversation, I just want to say really quickly, I'm actually doing this video on a Saturday, and you're gonna see this video tomorrow, on a Sunday, because I currently got another video uploading right now. It's another gameplay video, and I didn't feel like it was comfortable with me to upload like two big videos in one day. You know what I mean? So it's like, let me just keep it simple and do like a one video a day type thing, with the exception of shorts. But you get the idea. So I thought I'd keep it simple. So since you're watching this on a Sunday, let's pretend that it is actually Sunday, and basically for backers, on the project, there is only one day left, pretty much, and I think it's about like 6,000 or so backers. And long story short, yeah, that's not good because they needed about like 10,000, Yeah, I'm trying to. You get the point. They're like nowhere near their goal. So I get the feeling that I think we're gonna have to just say it. This thing ended up being a complete failure, which is very unfortunate. I'm not gonna say right away my opinions because obviously you never know. It could definitely change. Maybe it does end up reaching its goal somehow, like really quick. I don't know. Because I know that that's what happened to the Galactus Haslab, where I believe that it was like nowhere near its goal, and then towards like the final days or hours or so, it just all of a sudden just went straight up, and it's like boom, the project ended up getting funded, and we got a pretty sweet Galactus. You know what I mean? So it's like you never know. But there's a lot of weird shit has come out. So I was like, there's no way that I was gonna like not talk about it. So I'm like, I'm gonna just kind of go through it, right? So, and of course, before I move on, I just want to say that I'm honestly kind of surprised with like how well my Giant Man video actually did. And I know what you're thinking, Josh. You only got like 200 views on it. That's not a lot. Your channel sucks, right? And to me, that's a lot. So I think that's fantastic. So I do appreciate that. So of course, I did mention that I would probably do like a follow up video once the dateline, for the backers, once it's passed. I could maybe give my opinions on the entire situation, maybe. But no, some other stuff has come up, and we're gonna talk about it right now, right? So there was a pretty weird rumor that was actually going around. This rumor originated from like a toy Facebook group, basically, but then eventually it did kind of sort of evolve to like people spreading this information. Basically, what this is that apparently they were saying that either way, if the HasLab, Giant Man, whether it reaches its goal of backers or not, they were apparently still willing to make the figure no matter what. And obviously, if you try to look at it through like a financial or sort of a company perspective, obviously, if that were to be true, they'd be losing a lot of money. Like, this whole thing would not work out at all. You might as well not back it up at all if they were going to make it anyway. And basically, the idea was that they've worked on it so hard and that they put so much time and effort into it. So it's like it'd be a huge waste if it didn't get funded and then the project ended up being a huge flop and then it never ends up going out to people. So it's like, okay, what's gonna happen now? It's like, what's gonna be the deal then? Now, obviously, it's not really true. It's kind of a dumb rumor, but obviously when you get people that kind of believe it, it's like, okay, hold on, because you gotta look at it like, through a certain perspective. This would never work no matter what. You can't fund the project, and then if it doesn't get funded, you can't just go along with it anyway, because as we all know, stuff like that tends to not work out. And, so I'm not sure where that idea came from, but obviously, hopefully that rumor is down under the waters now, because I feel like to a certain degree, if a lot of people do believe in that rumor, that could also be another way that it also hurts the funding for the HasLab, because then if people believe in that, you know what I mean, that could definitely hurt it for sure. It's already hurt enough as it is, you know what I mean? So it's like I don't really know what the thing is. Are we just making up stories at this point? You know what I mean? It's like I want to laugh, but it's like no, it's kind of serious. You know what I mean? Because I feel like at that point you're also messing with people's wallets, because don't forget there are people that want this to win. That, well, not win, but they want it to get backed up so it could be made. You know what I mean? So it's like, I understand the pain. I would have liked for this project to be successful for the most part as well. Of course, it's a this is like a kind of big named character. You know what I mean? This is not like some sort of like one off. It's not like when Hasbro, they put out a Marvel character in a wave and then it's like you don't know who that person is. So like for an example, the totally awesome Hulk wave, you got like, okay, you might know who Karnak is, maybe, because he's from the Immortals and they first appeared like in one of the Fantastic Four comics, so you could kind of consider him a Fantastic Four character. But then you have other characters like Marvel Boy, and then you're over here thinking, who the hell is Marvel Boy? And it's like, okay, either you gotta go Google or research it, or just learn about the character's backstory and stuff like that. You know what I mean? So it's not like that. Giant Man, of course, is one of the, I want to say, is he the founding members? Well, he was part of the original Avengers for the most part. Let's just put it at that. That's the more simpler way of putting it, basically. So it's like, why would you not want to have a Giant Man? But of course, there's also the weird discrepancy over like the pricing and all that, because that was one of the reasons that people didn't want to back this up to begin with, is that they felt like that the $200 mark was too expensive. And of course, we have to try and look deep into like how much effort was put into the figure. So we know that he has a lot of articulation. The detailing on all that is down to a T. He generally looks nice. He moves around perfectly. He has the little face place, which yes, I will get to that. I didn't forget about that because that's a whole other situation of its own. So yeah, you have to try and look deep and wonder like if the price really sort of matches with the product. And often it is kind of hard because you have to always imagine there's always got to be something else on the side that we're not aware of. Because obviously just producing and making plastic out of nowhere, of course that's not easy. Look, you just need what am I gonna do? Just grab a chunk of rosin and make my own figures? Are you know how impossible that is? I swear, not to get off topic, but one time I saw someone that was shitting on Hasbro Marvel Legends so hard. They were like, "Oh, we should get our own 3D printer so that way we could print better figures than Hasbro does." And I'm over here thinking, I mean, if that was the case, I think you'd be wasting a lot more money than Hasbro does, because if you want to make like the perfect action figure, that requires like a lot of rosin and all that and stuff. And the only reason why I kind of know about that a little bit, and yeah, my dogs are going crazy. I'm sorry. The reason why I know a little bit about that, because my brother, he has like he has a business. A lot of it has to do with like not like toy cars. He does a lot more than that, but I haven't asked him too much about it. But he does talk to me from time to time that when he creates like the wheels and stuff like that, it does require a lot of rosin. So it's like I can only imagine like through a business perspective as well how much money is synced into projects like these. So I guess to a certain extent, I could kind of see why people might believe in that dumb rumor, because it's like, yeah, it has been a figure that they've been hyping up for like a long time. I mean, mind you, they were putting up promotions where you got like they were putting like pictures of like the Avengers. They were all like happy and stuff, and then you got like, the bad guys. You got like Ultron, and then you got everybody in the background. You got Abomination. You got MODOK. You got classic Thanos. Pretty much all those like classic comic book characters, and it looks so nice. Like that's like toy photography in a nutshell. That's like one of like the best things possible. You guys know that I well, maybe you don't know, but I draw. I'm I'm an artist in a way. So I appreciate stuff like that. I look at that as art. I mean, yeah, sure. My only complaint is that most of those figures you can't really get because they're kind of old, but whatever. That beats me. And then pretty much they were hyping up, the introduction to Giant Man. So that's exactly what they were doing. That's like their kind of weird, like funny way of marketing the figure. That's how it was. And even like towards like Toy Fair and all that. Well, I shouldn't really say Toy Fair. Or New York. I know that they were promoting him somewhere where they did finally show him off in person, and he generally looks incredible. He looks really, really nice. But then you also remember that he cost $200, so it's like, okay, what am I supposed to do? And I talked about this conversation in my last video where it's like you got a lot of people upset over the price range, but then I'm not trying to like clap back or anything, but I also try to make the argument that I find it weird that people find the $200 mark a problem, but then they're totally okay with buying a Mafex. You know what I mean? Because there's that weird discrepancy when it comes to like Hasbro and other companies, where I've seen like a fair share of people talk about, oh, other companies you can go to if you're tired of Hasbro's shit. You know what I mean? So it's like, oh, let's take a look, because there's nothing wrong with wanting to look at another company's like products or anything like that. Of course, there's definitely nothing wrong with that at all. I have to say that because I don't want people coming after me thinking that I'm some sort of like Hasbro shill or whatever, thinking that I'm protecting them. Because listen, I even mentioned it too. I don't agree with everything that they do. Trust me, Hasbro makes a lot of mistakes, and so do a lot of these other toy companies. So it's like, no, 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 let's not start with that finger pointing. I don't think that's smart. And at the same time, I just want to enjoy my hobby. You know what I mean? Why get crapped on for something you like? You know what I mean? That sucks. Like, no, don't do that. You know what I mean? So I don't know. I get that people are trying to prioritize a little bit because, long story short, the economy is not doing so well. I mean, I'm not gonna give my opinion, because at that point we'd be talking about politics, and I really, really don't want to do that, unless somehow politics come into play with our like movies and stuff like that. That's kind of a different situation, but like you get the idea. I would never talk about politics on this channel unless it was warranted for some dumb reason, but what I'm trying to say is that obviously people don't want to spend that much money on a toy. I understand. People used to buy a lot of SH figure arts, a lot of monster arts. Those are figures that were like crazy priced. We used to be okay with buying stuff overseas. Now we're not. And even my brother, he even told me the other night too. It was like, yeah, when it comes to like Black Friday sales, the reason why you don't see too much of a big crowd like you would expect, it's because a lot of people really, really don't want to take the chance of spending that much money, and it's not hard to see why. Even my job, to a certain extent, kind of sort of suffers from that, but not really, where we might have like a certain sale that might not do so well, or that we're hoping that it does well, but then it doesn't. So it's like, I can only imagine what's the situation with here, because a lot of people kind of complain too that this should have came with figures, you know what I mean? But in a Shartimus Prime interview that they did like a short one, like I think like a few days ago or so, where they mentioned that the reason why they didn't include any characters in the project is because they feel like that if they were to do that, then they'd be charging even more money for the Giant Man Haslab, and they understand that times are tough and all that. So it seems like they're at least aware that their figures are pretty expensive, but at the same time it's pretty obvious what else can they really do about it, because there's probably some other whole marketing behind it that we're not aware of. You never know, because remember, not only are you giving Hasbro your money, you got the Marvel Studios, the comics, and then of course you got Disney, because mind you, those are the big people that kind of run sort of Marvel. It's like they don't, it's not that they own Marvel, but it's like they own like some of like the rights to it and stuff like that. So most of the projects are mostly done through them. So it's like if you want a Marvel project done, you kind of have to ask them for it, and that kind of sucks. You know what I mean? The only good thing about it is that at least when it comes to like future projects like Deadpool 3 and all that, at least now they'll finally be canon to the MCU. So it's like nice. But this Giant Man, I don't know, man. It's not looking so good. And on top of that, they actually did a little mini reveal through a render. They actually did reveal that yes, they are going to be making more characters based on the Ant-Man and Giant Man IP. They actually did reveal that there's going to be a Wasp figure. Of course, was one of the Avengers. Of course, she's Ant-Man's buddy, to say the least. You know what I mean? We already did got a nice classic Ant-Man. I know you can't really see it because the quality of my video is shit, but he's actually right there near the corner. Because I set up my collection by like heroes. So I got this part where it's just, like Thor's. I go further down, Black Panthers, Iron Man's. There used to be Captain America's at the bottom, but I kind of moved them up because I try to keep the collection consistent. I don't want it to be like this and then like that. I want everybody together. So you know what I mean? I got like a nice little spot for that Ant-Man. He's a really nice figure. He's actually really good. Even though he reuses the Sunfire body mold, which I'm not a big fan of, it actually fits well for that particular figure. So it's like, that's great. You know what I mean? So yes, we need a Wasp. Give us a Wasp and a Yellow Jacket. Yeah. Yellow Jacket is, of course, the villain of Ant-Man, obviously. So a lot of people were really, really hoping that they'd be part of the Haslab, but they're actually not. But, basically, Hasbro, the team, they revealed that they will be sold, but just like separate, or at least in some form. That's just not going to be the Haslab. And a lot of people will argue that that hurts the Haslab, because if you're paying so much money for it, you should have included the figures. But then they also come out and be like, look, we get it, but if we did that, then we would have to charge you even more. So it's like, okay, you try to do the math and calculate and be like, how could it be more? Come on now. What about the last project? Now, what I have to say to that, okay, don't get mad, but this is just my opinion, okay? I'm just gonna say it, all right? People, this is obviously a one-time thing when it comes to the Giant Man figure, and since if it becomes a failure, that sucks because it's like, now are we ever really going to get a Giant Man? We probably will, but that's probably not going to happen for like 15 years. If Hasbro's still even around at that point, and even if they're still making Marvel Legends, I mean, look what happened with Toy Biz. They were booming like crazy when they were making those Marvel Legends figures. When they first started it, they were doing pretty well. And then what happened? I don't know, where they just disappeared out of existence. Toy Biz doesn't exist, okay? So if you're one of those people that get upset with what Hasbro's doing and that another company should take the IP and do Marvel Legends, that's gonna be tough. I don't really see that happening. I don't know. Even if it does, what other companies are there? You know what I mean? And would the figures even be the same? Consistency, it's important. And back to my, sort of criticism behind like the idea of wanting to add more figures and stuff, you know, at least we're getting like those figures separate or so. At least we are getting those. But of course, the Giant Man itself, it's a bit of a, a question. But my issue is that the thing is, if you look at the previous Haslab that we had with the Robbie Reyes Ghost Rider, mind you, they were gonna add more characters to the project, but that was only till after it reaches all its backers, and only if even if it makes it to their first tier. Because basically, the way that the tiers go is that if they make it past their initial goal, and if they do a lot more, they'll add a lot more to their product. So that's great, you know. But the problem is that they were gonna add the characters through tiers. So basically, it goes like this: you got the Robbie Reyes as a Ghost Rider Haslab. It costs like $350. That's ridiculous. So they were gonna add more characters to it. Instead of those characters being part of it, they are through tiers. So if it makes it past its first tier, but it doesn't make it past the other one, you're not gonna get those characters. So you're basically spending $350 on just the one figure in the vehicle. That's not great. That's terrible. And on top of that, the characters that we were given, I know one of them was Mephisto, and another one was like some sort of like demon lady. I forgot what her name was. And I gotta say, the idea of putting characters like that through tiers, that's not good. I don't like that idea either. You know what I mean? So that I can understand why the Robbie Reyes Ghost Rider project that did not work out at all. But then that's the other scary thing too. That didn't work, and this project's not gonna work out. So it's like, what's gonna happen? You know what I mean? It's like they're probably not gonna want to do this because it's gonna be a waste of money and time for them. So it's like, what we're gonna do? You know what I mean? And it's like, again, I made the conversation yesterday too. Well, no, not yesterday. I'm such an idiot. I'm sorry. I made the comment, well, when talking about the Giant Man, where a lot of people said that they're okay with like the Toy Biz version, but I was like, no, that needs a redo. No, I can't. No, you can't just have like one type of figure. You need at least some sort of improvement or some sort of update somehow. There's a reason why we keep getting so many Spider-Mans and Wolverines, because of course they want to try and improve, one after another, and make like, make the best of their characters. Because how many versions of Wolverine in the yellow suit have we gotten already? So far no one's complained, but you get the idea. Consistency is always key. You want to make sure that you're up to date, and then you put out all the best products that you can, and of course try to put out the best characters as possible. So it's like I'm stuck somewhere between, like, I understand through the company's perspective, but I also understand through the fans' perspective that this is not doing so well. And long story short, I don't know, man. What do you guys think? I never thought I would end up making a part 2 talking about this, and honestly, I just wanted to get my thoughts out of the way. And yes, I will be making a video talking about the aftermath if it doesn't work out. So until then, I don't know. I don't know what to say. I'm trying to leave it open so that way, I don't get too many crazy people in my comments. So far, the people that have commented on my last video are reasonable, so I haven't seen any people fighting each other yet. If that does happen, I'm going to call it out because, look, we collect these figures. I know they're expensive and stuff like that, but we can't pick on each other like that. It's not, no, that's not how you solve problems. Same goes for when you go towards criticism toward these companies. Just saying F this or F that or so, that's not valid. They're not going to listen. They're going to be like, you know what I mean? We got to understand that, These are products that we buy at the end of the day, and, we got to, we got to make sure that at least these products stay alive, but at the same time be reasonable. So until then, we'll see what happens. So that's about it. I'm going to end the video. Thank you guys so much, and have a good one.